Okay. So today we're going to start with a module called scanning part, which is the second phase of hacking. So I think we have done with the footprinting part.
Yeah, that's what we did last time.
Yeah. So you can see over here, after footprinting and reconnaissance, scanning is the second phase of information gathering. That hacker used to size up a network. What does the size of a network means over here?
Come again?
Size up a network.
To know more about the network, to practically have a full understanding of the network.
Yes. So if I talk about the size of a network means the number of hosts which is connected with that network, the number of PCs, the number of devices. So each and every device is a different thing. For example, there would be some PCs, there would be some mobiles, some will be your fax machine, your scanner machines. There would be lots of other things over there. So in this scanning part, what is the main objective? The main objective, they dive deeper into the system to look for valuable data. What does the valuable data mean? What the valuable data means over here? The valuable data means the services which is running in the specific server. A server is vulnerable when we have installed an unauthorized application on the server. In other real life scenarios, we install lots of things on that specific one.
Yeah.
So over here, you can see that in the system, the valuable data and the services in the specific IP address range. The specific IP address range means if we talk about a company, there would be lots of different domains. Lots of different domain means there would be some IT department, some account department, some sales department. These are the different kinds of domain in the network.
Yeah.
So in this scenario, the main objective of your scanning is to identify the live host, the live operating system, the open ports. What are the open ports on the specific one? What are the services are running in the specific or server? OS detection, operating system detection, network scanning, and vulnerability scan. Network scan and vulnerability scan. Network scan to identify the number of devices which is on the network part, and the vulnerability part is to figure out the loopholes on the specific domain, or we can say on a server in a single PC. So in this scenario, the most important part that the scanning part is depend on the two types of scanning. The two types of scans, if I talk about the protocols, the networking protocols, there are two types of network protocol, UDP protocol and TCP protocol.
Right.
So if we talk about the TCP protocol, let's talk about the first TCP protocol. Transmission Control Protocol. Basically, this was made for reliable communication. A reliable communication means a proper client-to-client pair. For example, when I'm visiting a browser, you can see over here that I'm basically opening my Firefox.
Yeah.
So in the Firefox, what do? We simply put our DNS name. For example, let's put google.com.
Yeah.
But have you ever thought about what is a backend process? What is a backend process? How does it works in the real life scenario?
Okay, the backend process. I've not looked at it.
Backend process means how the process works with the browser and the main server.
Okay.
Let's talk about the TCP client three-way handshake. See this one. This is a very small image. Is it visible to you?
Okay.
So over here we have two servers, one a host P and a host Q. So when we are making a reliable communication, when we are simply making a connection with that specific target, for our side we simply send a synchronization packet. a sync packet, a request packet from the host P. Why? Because I need to communicate with that server. First of all, I need to send a message to that specific one. So in this scenario, the first host will send a synchronization packet to the host queue. Why? Because we need to check if either the host is live or not. That's why we simply do google.com, facebook.com. In the backend process, the three-way handshake is the important part. TCP three-way handshake. And how does it work? See over here. The transmission control protocol was made for reliable communication. It is used for wide variety of protocols on the internet and contributes towards reliable communication with the help of three-way handshake. Whenever we are just making a communicating with that server, the main process that we need to learn is the three-way handshake. How does the three-way handshake works? For example, the TCP flags they're gonna use over here. Before understanding the port scanning works, we should now understand how the TCP three-way handshake works. So there are some HTTP flags, sync flag, ACK flag, and SYNAC. And let me tell you one thing. What is sync ACK? I think you already know about the sync and ACK flag, sir.
Yeah.
So I guess you also know the three-way handshake.
You can just go through it. I know it, but go through it for a better understanding. I know it, but you can go through it.
Okay. So let me tell you one thing, that when we are making a reliable communication with the target, the first host will send a sync packet to the second host. And what does it mean? A synchronization means initiate a connection, acknowledgement that the packet was received. RST means reset the connection between the two hosts, and fin means finish the connection. So over here, the first host sends a sync packet to the second host. The second host responds with the SYNAC. Why? Because when the first host will send a sync packet to the second host, he will accept that packet, and for the acknowledgement for the received recipient, he will send a acknowledgement, which means indicates the packet was received. It indicates that the packet was received, and the first host completes the connection by sending a acknowledgement packet. So over here, if you see in the browser, these host P and host Q are doing the same thing. The host P will send a synchronization packet to the host Q. The host Q will send a SYNAC packet. And completing the request, for completing the two requests between the two host P and Q, they're gonna send an acknowledgement packet to complete the connection over there. So our main objective would be identify the loopholes on the server side. So if we talk about, let's talk about our own Craw Security network. If I talk about, if I want to connect, if I have to check the number of devices, for example, you will see over here, identify the live host. First of all, this is the important thing. You need to identify the number of hosts which is connected with that network. So over here, I'm going to use a simple tool, which is my network monitoring tool, which is my Wireshark. I'm going to monitor all the traffic first to examine how does it works.
Wireshark.
Wireshark.
Okay.
So we're going to use Wireshark for network analyzing tool. So I guess it's already running because its backend process is running an application. So what I'm going to do, let's check my IP address first. ifconfig. So my IP address is 102. Okay. So first of all, if I want to identify the number of hosts in the network, I have to check my gateway IP. Why I have to check the gateway IP? Because through the gateway IP, I can examine how many hosts are connected with that specific network. So I'm going to use route-n to check my gateway IP of my domain. So over here, I can see my gateway IP is 192.168.1.1.
Okay.
So the main objective of your gateway IP, because we're gonna scan the gateway to identify the number of hosts which are connected with that specific network.
Okay.
So over here, we're gonna use a tool called Net Discover. If you go to the application part on the left hand side tab, you will see information gathering part first of all. In information gathering part, you will see Dimetri, iScan, Multigo, NetDiscover, Nmap, ReconNG, ZenMap. These are the scanning tools. But if I talk about, these are information gathering tools. So first we're going to use the NetDiscover. These are the tools which we covered in our social engineering part, further classes. So first we're going to use the NetDiscover tool. When you click over there on the NetDiscover, you will see some helpline guidance. For example, what we're going to do, we're going to try the -I. Why I'm going to use the -I? Because I'm going to use my NIC card, which is my network interface card. For example, see over here, ifconfig, you will see my network interface card, which is my Ethernet.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about the NetDiscover. NetDiscover is a tool basically used for identifying the number of hosts, and it's a ARP reconnaissance tool. NetDiscover is an active passive ARP reconnaissance tools address resolution tool, which is basically used for gaining information about the wireless network without DSCP services. It can also be used on switch network built on top on Libit and libcap. And this tool is basically used to identify the number of hosts, because this tool will broadcast ARP packets on the network. It will do broadcast packets. So over here, first of all, how does it look like? So I'm going to use the utility called NetDiscover. -I, the interface, the NIC interface. We have to put the NIC interface according to our network. So over here, we can see that we are connected with the Ethio. Or either you can use WLAN, which is your wireless device. So over here, I'm going to use Ethio 0, which is my NIC card, and I'm going to use -R for range. I'm going to put the range for my subnet mask. So over here, we're going to use our gateway IP to scan. Because all the devices are connected with my gateway. Because if I scan my gateway IP, I will find the number of hosts of the devices. So let's use 192.168.1.1, and I'm going to use /24 for the subnet mask. So I guess we are familiar with the /24.
Sorry?
I think we are familiar with the /24. Why I put /24 over here, sir?
Yeah.
Through the /24, I basically want to scan all the number of devices on my network, which is 254 devices. Let me show you one cheat sheet, which is a red team manual. See this one. I think this is visible.
Visible.
So you can see over here, I'm going to use the subnetting part.
Yeah.
So in the subnetting part, what we're going to try? We're going to try to check the number of devices over here. So I'm going to use /24. Why I'm putting /24? Because the total number of devices which I want to scan is 254 number of devices.
Okay.
Hit enter. And see, it can scan all the number of devices on the network. And it finished. Right now in my network there are only three devices are connected. One is my router gateway IP, and one is on high Precious, which is a cell phone, I guess, which is an IP address 103, and the Leading Technology, which has an IP address 106. So over here, through the NetDiscover, you can identify the number of hosts in the network, but there is a problem with that. What is the problem? Because in the back end, if you see on the Wireshark, if I do ARP over here, I can see from my Dell PC. See, I guess you can see over here. From my Dell PC, which is my PC, which is broadcasting ARP packets to the router. You can see 192.168.1.1, tell to 192.168.167, and it will simply send all the number of packets to entire network to till the 254 devices. See, so over here, if we are using an ARP reconnaissance tool, so it will simply broadcast in the backend part. So through that, an attacker simply enumerate or simply identify, but through the Wireshark, we can simply caught easily who is running which packet. Is it clear, sir?
Yeah, I'm getting you what I need to understand how the Wireshark work again. Sorry, I missed that part of it. How does it work? The Wireshark.
Yes. So Wireshark is a part that we can learn in the later part, but over here I'm just gonna show you how does it looks like in the backend process.
Okay,
When we
okay,
are,
beautiful.
when we
That's
are
fine.
using, when we are using multiple applications.
Okay.
Our main objective is to identify each and every scan on the network.
All right.
So you can see the command over here, which is netdiscover -i etho-r 192.168.1.74, because it will simply do a ARP scan, which is a address resolution recon scan.
Okay.
But in
ARP
the
scan.
ARP scan, ARP scan, you can say.
Okay.
So over here, there are many techniques that we can use it for information gathering. For example, let's try the one of the best tools that they use in the real life scenario. So I guess you have heard about the Nmap,
Nmap.
Nmap, the network mapper.
Okay.
Nmap is one of the best tools for identifying the loopholes on the server side. If you see over here, Nmap is known as network mapper. When you are on the network and you need to and you have to size up the network to identify the number of hosts and the operating system plus the ports, we can use it for everything.
Beautiful.
Yes.
An open source tool, so it's not licensed. Nmap does not have a license.
Yeah. So in the a network mapper is an open source or a network exploration and a security auditing. It was designed to rapidly scan large networks, although it works fine against a single host. So Nmap
Okay.
uses raw IP packets in a novel way to determine what hosts are available on the network, what services, what application and version are running. This is an important part. The application and the version. Those hosts are offering what operating system, land OS and version, what they are running, what types of packet filters and firewalls are in use, and dozens of other characteristics. Through Nmap, we can identify lots of other things.
All right.
So over here, we can try lots of other techniques, but with the help of Nmap, we can use it for information gathering part.
Okay.
For example, if you go down, you will see an output over here. When you are doing an Nmap scan, you will see some output like -a, -t4. These are the operators. These are the functions that you use,
All right.
and this is the domain name.
Okay.
So when you are scanning a domain name or a network, the output will be like something like this. For example, when you're simply scanning an operator, the something like port will be open there, the statement which is open, the services which is running SSH and their version. This is the important part.
Okay.
This part is known as banner grabbing.
Is that a what?
Banner grabbing.
Vinyl grabbing.
So in the banner grabbing process, where we need to identify the services plus their specific version, which is running in the backend of the process, backend of a server, we can say.
Okay.
Where we need to identify the services plus version, but the statement is open. The statement is important. If you see, the statement will be open, some will be filtered over here. See, some are filtered over here.
Okay.
So see over here, when you see the port status type, these are the important part: open, close, filtered, and unfiltered. These are the important.
Okay, filtered means Mmap is not able to configure.
Yes, with the name with Nmap, you would see one of the 4 port status type. For example, you will see open. It means that the port is accessible and application is listening on it. Closed
Okay.
means it means that the closed. If you see the closed over there, it means the port is inaccessible and no application is listening on it.
Okay.
If you see filtered, it means the Nmap is not able to figure out the port is open or closed, as the packet are being filtered, which probably means that the machine is behind a firewall.
Right.
And if you see unfiltered, it means that the port is accessible by the Nmap, but it's not possible to figure out if the port is open or closed.
So if the for example, let's assume it is filtered, that means you cannot hack it, you cannot do a trace any longer on it, have you?
Yes, exactly, because there is a firewall over there.
Okay.
There is a firewall which will block all the packets from the server side, which is a raw packet.
Okay.
So that's why when we are simply scanning a network, you will see something open, filtered, and over here you will see something like this OS details like Linux. Is it a Linux or a Windows?
Okay.
It depends on that. So the major important part when you're doing something like this, you have to simply examine all the things one by one.
All right.
We're gonna try all. See over here, we're gonna try all the commands one by one.
Okay.
The most common commands. So for example, if you see the target specification, the target specification can be your host name, your IP address, the network, etc. The host name is your DNS name. The IP address could be your like this, and the network range. You can identify the network range.
Okay.
In this scenario, the most important part that you can try over here is to simply scan the entire network. If you talk about over here, for example, let's try with the host discovery part. The host discovery means to identify the number of hosts which is on the network part. So over here, SL means the number of list commands. It will start the scanning from the number 1 to 254 devices according to the subnet mask. If you use /24, the number of devices it will scan the number of devices, 254 devices on the network.
Okay.
So I'm gonna use SL, or you can use SN also. Let me show you one thing. And /24. Why? Because we need to scan the number of devices, which is 254 devices. So remember one thing: when you are simply scanning the network, sir, you have to have a proper server, because it will take some time to scan the entire network.
Okay, you have need a proper server.
Yeah.
Do you need a server as a client or a server as what? What kind of server do you need, sir?
The server means which attacker machine, your pen testing machine, your server when you are simply doing Nmap scan, where you are performing the scanning part. The server which I am using right now.
Okay, no, I don't get it. The server, let's assume I'm trying to scan your network now.
Yes, sir.
Do I need my server or your server?
You need your own server, which will be a 16 GB or 8 GB RAM, because it will consume the
Okay.
memory.
Oh, beautiful. So I cannot do it. I cannot scan over a laptop.
You can scan with your laptop, but it will simply take some time because of the low performance.
Oh, beautiful. So let's assume I
Yeah.
have a server now that I can connect my network with a server. Can I come in as a node?
Yes.
As a node? Okay, okay.
Okay, yes. You can see over here, it's gonna take some time because it will take around 4 minutes.
Okay.
So in this scenario, what we're gonna do, we're gonna try something else. For example, we're gonna stop this one, and I'm gonna use over there. I'm gonna use a command SN. SN
Okay.
stands for ping scan.
Okay.
So over here, I'm gonna show you how does it looks in the Wireshark also. So over here, I'm gonna use a filter IP.addr is equal to the IP address. So over here, we're gonna use it for entire scan. Let's enter and let's see the Wireshark. So you can see over here the packet has been increased over here. So it's gonna scan the entire network to identify the number of hosts over there. See, so it
Okay.
will send it will send all the number of packets to the server, and it will scan the number of devices. See over here, then these are the number of devices which is connected.
Okay.
These are the number of devices which is connected with that network. We can either use Nmap is one of the best tool for identifying the loopholes on the server side.
Okay.
So in this scenario, the most important part that we're going to try is there are many techniques that we can use for host discovery. Host discovery is an important part to identify the number of hosts on the network.
Okay.
You can use PN, which is your ping not scan. If if your SN will perform a ping scan, so it means if we are performing a ping scan, it will simply send some ICMP echo packets on the backend side. Let's try to write ICMP. There was no ICMP packets. So over here, let's try with the ping scan over there, PN. And the PN stands for treat all hosts as online. Skip the host discovery. Means it's a type of scan where you have to simply find that the number of hosts is live or not, and this through this scan you can identify the open ports also.
Okay.
So it's gonna take complete time. And it will scan the entire network. So these type of scan basically takes a lot of time in the real life scenarios.
All right. Okay. Host is up. There's a latency.
Hmm. These are the number of devices which are on the server. See over here, these are the number of devices plus these are the open ports on the server side and the services.
Okay.
The first device was, I told you that this is will be my router gateway and that is Netgear.
Okay.
The most important thing, when you're scanning a network or a server, you will see some open ports. See, I told you about the open ports and the services.
Yeah.
And see the ports.
Okay. Okay.
So if you go down, you will see 103, which is an IP address which is on high. You will see the ports are open. 1.5, 1.6, you will see open. These are the services which is open over there. Through the PN, you can simply identify the open ports plus the host is live or not.
Okay.
There are lots of scan. For example, you can use scanning techniques like Essence. Most of the cases when we are doing a pen testing part on the real life scenario, we should know about the scanning techniques. Which scanning we have to perform? Is it a UDP scan or a TCP scan?
So what are the
So
differences between UTP and TCP?
on the TCP port, if we are scanning the TCP through the help of TCP, we make a reliable communication. It means the scanning in the scanning task, it will make a proper three-way handshake. It will complete the three-way handshake.
Okay.
And in the UDP port, it will simply scan for the UDP ports. The TCP ports and the UDP ports are totally different.
Okay.
So in this scenario, the TCP scan and the UDP scan are the important part.
Okay.
So in this scenario, you will see some scan techniques like SS means sync scan, ST means TCP scan, SA means acknowledgement scan, SW means Windows scan. So these are the scans which we use to identify the service type. For example, if we are using S, small s capital S to scan the entire network, I'm going to use only one single, which is 1.1, which is my router gateway.
Okay.
You will see through the same scan, I can only identify the number of ports on the server side. So see this one. Through the I simply filtered with the two communication, which is my own router address, which is 1.2 and 1.1. So over here you can see that I'm going to send only the sync packet. I'm not going to make a proper reliable communication. Why? Because look, I'm just sending a synchronization packet. 1.2 is my IP address and 1.1 is the router address.
Okay.
And over here you will see that 1.1 is sending an RST packet. If he's sending an RST packet, it means that the port is open, and through the RST is sending an ACK packet also. ACK packet indicates that the packet was received.
Yeah.
But over here you will see that from my server side, which is 1.2, continuously sending an synchronization packet to the server. So in this scenario, what we can do, we can try to manipulate something else. So it's depend on the scaling technique that you are using. If you use ST, which is your TCP scan,
Yeah.
it will make a proper three-way handshake. See, sync packet, First of all, it will send some synchronization packet to the server. Thereafter, if you go down, it will make a proper three-way handshake. Sync packet.
Okay.
So it's all depend on the networking policy, the networking concept. So over here, this type of scans are depend on the real life scenarios. You can use it for UDP scan. If you are performing a UDP scan, it will take some time because UDP is connectionless.
Okay.
See, I'm sending a UDP packets to the server, and it will not make a reliable communication.
Okay.
So all the things are depend on the two reliable communication, a client A and a client B, and the packets.
All right.
So in the real life scenario, there are lots of other techniques that we can do with the Nmap. Nmap is one of the best tool for identifying the loopholes.
Okay.
Am I recording the session? First of all, yes, we are. So you will see that if you're doing a UDP scan, it will take some lot of time.
Yeah.
And it will give you false positive result.
Come again. I didn't copy that.
Sorry?
Said your last statement, I didn't see that.
The false positive statement, it will give either it will be okay or either it will be wrong.
Oh, okay. False positive statement. Okay.
False positive. So our major objective would be to simply check one by one all the functions. For example, we can use it for port scanning also. For port scanning, we use -p parameter operator. Either you can put -p means scan the entire port, which is from 1 to 65,535 ports. Scan all the ports. If you do this, it will scan all the number of ports on the server.
Okay.
See, either you can write -p either you can do 1, 2, 6, 5, 5, 3, 5 ports.
Okay, that's the port. You're designating a port now.
These are the total number of ports, sir. So 65,535 ports, these are the number of ports which can be connected with that network.
Oh, okay.
So our main objective would be to identify each and everything.
Wow.
Either you can write, if you can remove, you can write -f top port 20 over there. It depends on that network.
Yeah.
If you see, if I write -f top 20 ports, it will scan the top 20 ports from the server, which is from 21 port 80. So our major agenda would be to scan the entire ports on the server side. But in the real life scenario, there are many things we can use. service plus version detection, we can use SV. That is a major part.
Okay.
If you want to identify the services version of the specific host on the network, you can use nmap as small as capital V and the target IP address. Either you can specify only one target IP address, or you can use multiple target IP address with a common comma.
All right.
I guess it will scan only one port, only one single. See, this was what I was talking about. When we simply identify the service plus version, but the version is important. Why the version is important? Because through the version we can identify the loopholes which is present or not on the server side.
Okay.
So over here I can see the port in the port 80, it's running in mini HTTPD with the version 1.2.4. So what I can do, I can simply copy this one, the version, and I can search in the Google for it. What I can write exploit over there to find. Any exploit over there, and I can see vulnerabilities in mini HTTP 1.2, cybersecurity help. So remote code execution. See over here. The most important part when you're performing a scanning part, it's all about the services which is running. See. And one of the best website to check the exploit is exploit DB. Exploit DB is the website where you can simply use it for vulnerability scan. See, our version was 1.24, and over here we can see 1.2, 1.21, 1.21. And over here I can see buffer overflow attack, local remote execution on the Windows architecture.
Okay.
But our version was 24, 1.24, so it was a lower version, so it will not work. And you can read about this one. When you can open this one and you can read about the description.
All right.
So our major agenda would be to identify the loopholes on the server side. That's why we use scanning techniques. Is it clear, sir?
Yes, clear.
Okay, thank you. So that's why each and every section has a different version to identify. You have to think what are the steps you have to take. That's why we basically use OS detection. For OS detection, we use capital O. See, unmap with a capital O and the IP address. When you use to identify the operating system, they will scan the port also, plus they will use to find the OS detection. And you can see over here that that specific server is running Kali Linux version 2.6.17. This is the kernel version. So our main objective would be to scan the entire network and identify the loopholes.
Okay.
We can try time and technique performance. This is the important part. The time and performance. Why this is important? Let me show you. See this one, time and techniques. Time and techniques is one of the best techniques to evade firewalls and IDS, means to bypass. The idea behind the technique is to send the packet gradually so that do not end with being detected by firewalls and IDS. In Nmap, we can launch the timing scan by specifying the T command followed by the numbers ranging in the Nmap. We can launch the timing scan by specifying the T command with a T0 to T5. And T0 are paranoid, T1 sneaky, T2 polite.
Okay.
T3. According to one, if we are using P1, which is sneaky on the server side, the packet sending time will be less.
Okay.
See over here, the packet sending time. It's taking time.
So once you execute the command, Wireshark will show you what is happening.
Yes, sir. What you saying? Sorry.
I say once you are executing the command now on your
Through the Wireshark.
yeah,
Through the
Wireshark
Wireshark.
shows you what's happening.
Yes, Wireshark is basically used to what is happening on the server. So over here you can see all the packets are basically sending on the gradual mode. So let me change to the P4. See this one. When I use it to P4, you will see something like this. See the number of packet in a second.
That's aggressive.
So the T technique is basically used to fast execution.
Okay.
Fast execution process. So this was the part of your Nmap. And one more thing. Over here, if you see, if you want to save the output, if you want to save the output, you can use -on, -oa, -b for verbose. Lots of the cases that we use Nmap for output saving. And the path where you want to set. The path will be saved on the root desktop on the name Craw. See. Output has been saved over here. So over here you can save the output according to your own need, or you can use more advanced scan, which is your miscellaneous over here. The most powerful scan is your capital A. Why? Because it will use it for voice detection, script scanning, and traceroute. You don't have to use all these commands that we use till now. Just you can do nmap -a and the IP address.
So the nmap-a is a better command to use.
Yes. Yes. What to know? So this was what to know. Anusa, is it any doubt in the module?
Okay, what I'm saying is that this nmap, the nmap-a, is it the best command to use when you are working on the nmap route?
Yes, you can see over here. The capital A command, this is basically used for advanced scan, and we don't use it in this one in real life.
Okay, so nmap-a enables OS detection, version detection, script scanning.
Yes, yes.
So it's the best one to use.
Yeah, the best one, but we don't use this one. You can get all the details in a single command with the capital A.
Oh, okay.
But I will say don't use because it will make lots of logs on server.
Yeah.
It will make lots of logs. So our main objective is that through the nmap we can use it for many different things. More and more things that you're going to learn in your upcoming classes. So
Sorry?
there are many things that will come in your upcoming classes.
Okay, beautiful.
Mm.
That'd be great.
Yes. So this was all your scanning part, but in this scenario, the most important part is to understand how the three-way handshake works.
Yeah.